One of the most important things about being successful in recruiting is understanding each division level in its place. Because if you don't understand that, then it's really hard to find the right school for you, target the right schools for you, because then you're just kind of going clueless. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Trent. I'm a former college quarterback. I run your first scholarship, where we help families get their first scholarship and more. And so let's talk about each division level. We're going to walk through it step by step. I'm going to share some of my takes, which you don't have to agree with, and we'll go from there. So first off, everybody knows about Division I schools. So Division I schools are categorized into two groups. FBS, which is a football bowl subdivision, which doesn't really make sense because they have a playoff now. They also have the bowl system, but anyway, these are the top tier teams. These are Power 4 schools, Alabama, Texas A&M, etc., and the group of 5 schools. Now, the group below that is the FCS, is the football championship subdivision. These are smaller D1 schools. I don't know, it really should be D1, D2, but it's just the system they have. I don't really know the whole history behind it. Now, these are schools that are like the Big Sky, so Montana, Montana State, North Dakota State, etc. These are so very talented programs. By no means are they bad. They are very good programs. And so from there, then we have the D2, that's Division II schools. Then we have Division III, and then we have NAIA, which is its own thing. It's outside of the NCAA, so I just really have a division. And then you have junior colleges as well. These are 2-year schools that you can go to, still play football, and then once you get out of those 2 years, you can transfer to a 4-year. And so from there, as far as scholarships go, and this is changing a little bit with some of the rules, but Division I FBS, any scholarships they offer are full rides. FCS, they can be broken up into partials. D2s broken into partials, and this gets less and less. I think, again, this is changing now because there's no more scholarship limits. There's only a roster limit of 105, but so you will see more scholarships be handed out at the Division I level than before. But before it was about 85 at the FBS level, 63 at the FCS level. I believe it was 45, 46 at the D2 level. The Division III level, there's no athletic scholarships. There are academic scholarships and needs-based scholarships, which most of the time means that you will have to pay something out of pocket. And at the NAIA level, I believe it was 24, 30, 32, maybe. I don't know, somewhere around there. And the junior college level, there are some junior colleges that offer scholarships. California junior colleges do not offer athletic scholarships, at least at this time. So with that understanding, you have to understand what your goal is and what separates each division level. Because I was talking about this on TikTok, is if your goal is to play in the NFL, if you really want to play at the big time level, then it makes sense for you to go to the high school possible. It makes sense for you to pursue that dream of playing Power 4 football, because that's going to give you the best possible position to play in the NFL. Now, people will argue and say, well, if you play really well, they'll find you. If you're a dog, they'll find you. That's not wrong. There's D2 guys that do get drafted. Very few. Most of them will be unsigned free agents if they do go. And same with the FCS level. But it is extremely harder. You have to stand out much, much more because your level of competition is lower and people do not take you seriously. So if you want to play in the NFL, your best chance is to go to the best school possible that allows you to do that, which is the top tier schools. But if your goal isn't to play in the NFL, if your goal is, hey, for me, a lot of it really came down to a few things. It came down to, hey, what was going to pay the most for my school, so that way I didn't have to pay as much out of pocket. What was going to give me a good opportunity to play and I was going to have a good time at, and what coaching staff that I liked the best. And for me, that's where I found my fit. And for you, if you're looking for a school that gets you out of pocket, then you're really worried about, hey, what is that scholarship amount looking like? And so if you're not going to be a D1 guy, then you're probably not going to get a full ride scholarship. And so you have to figure out, okay, how can I pair academic with athletic and be able to piece this together into a scholarship that allows me to get to that goal? And so D3 is probably not as much of a fit for you. There are some D3s that will be able to give you a great amount of merit-based scholarships that allow you not to pay out a lot out of pocket, so don't count them out. But it may not be as great of a fit for you. And so now you may be like, okay, well, why would I take a D3 scholarship? D3s are high academic schools. A lot of the very high academic institutions are Division III schools, so that way they can provide sports for that school, but they just can't afford the actual scholarships that they could give athletically. And this is the same reason why there are actually there's a little bit of nuance. There's actually FCS schools that do the same thing. This is the Pioneer League and the Ivy Leagues do not give athletic scholarships because the Pioneer League was actually built to allow bigger institutions to have football teams and still be able to afford it without having to give out the scholarships. So just a little bit of stuff there. So with that being said, recognize where your goal is, what is actually going to help you best. Now, with that, you should just recognize that don't put all your eggs in one basket too early. Obviously, like, you should test around, see what's exactly going on, who's actually interested in you, because too many kids, and families will focus solely on Division I schools, top tier schools, get no responses for a full year and go, well, they just don't understand. They don't see, they're missing something. And it's like, no, they're just not interested in you. And you have to set your sights lower. So the best piece of advice is don't get too caught up on this. Use this scale and this kind of explanation that I'm giving you as more guidance as once you come to make that decision. But the biggest thing first is getting interest and offers first, because if you don't have any interest and you don't have any offers, then the decision you make will be null because you won't have any decision to make. You'll just be going to school somewhere. And so always cast a wide net. Make sure to try and catch as many schools as possible so that way you have the interest and offers beforehand. And then once you do have the interest and offers, you can make that decision that's in relation to your goal. And of course, if you have a very narrow goal and you know that only a few schools are going to be the one for you, that's fine. I don't necessarily agree with that strategy because it just wasn't what I'm looking for. And a lot of families we work with don't have those goals. But then you just really want to specifically target those schools very heavily, very personalized, very nuanced in what you're doing. An example of that is just consistently following up with them time over time, giving them like personalized stuff, because you can put more time into that than anything else. That way you can finally get a response, get some interest, and hopefully turn that to offer later in the line. So with that being said, hopefully you learn something from this as far as the division levels go. My take personally is that most of the time in your recruiting process, the D3s will come automatically because they recruit backwards. They recruit the student first and the athlete second. So if you are the kind of student that D3 schools are looking for, which I was at a 4.19 in high school, what happened was a lot of D3 schools would just reach out to me automatically. I didn't really have to generate interest from them. So you don't really need to worry about them until if you want to reach out to D3s, you could do so during your senior year. It's much better to start at the top and then work your way down than start from the very bottom and work your way up, unless you're running out of time. If you're a senior right now, do not do that. Start at the bottom, work your way up, so that way you have some security first. If you're ahead, you should start from the top and work your way down, because you got a lot of time to work with and you might as well explore as many options as possible. So hopefully this all helped. If you got something from this, like it, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.